Hello everyone, in this video we're going to be building a trailer home and it's going to be using only the base game and the Backers Stuff Pack, which is actually free right now. So if you don't have it, I suggest you go ahead and download it. It can be downloaded from Steam, from the EA app and a few other places. If you're on PC, I believe it's only for PC, but you have until, I believe, April 13th. I suggest you do it right now anyway, in case you forget. It's a nice little pack and it's one of the older ones, so it's not one of the ones that are normally considered the best, but I think it's pretty decent. It has a few of gameplay items. I believe there's like 3 things that are kind of unique to this pack. So yeah, I would recommend you get it, and it's backer stuff, so it's very good for exteriors. One thing that I noticed when building was that there aren't many things for exteriors in general in the game, and they might be very similar styles. And this pack is definitely a style. It's like bright and very patterned, and I felt it's very summery. So I think it's a cool thing to be able to have some more variety in your game. I do feel that it gives a lot of options, and I also wanted to use as much of it as I could on the inside of this build. So I am using the bench here in the living room and the coffee table from that pack, and I got to use both designs of chairs. One is inside the house and the other one is outside. And since I was only using base game, I am going to use these counters in the very plain swatch, but I decided to go for some more fun colored appliances. And I am also using these lemons in the kitchen, and I found that a surprising amount of items could be used on the inside. Some of them are obviously things that are meant to be outside, so for example I am using this caddy with condiments and napkins that it looks like it's for a picnic or something like that. I have it inside in the kitchen because I figured that's where you would keep it most of the time anyway, and because I was really committed to using as much of it as I could on the inside, because I wanted to go for a brighter color scheme than I normally go for. I'm a big fan of dark interiors, and I do like things that are colorful, but I normally don't go for this much white, and I liked exploring it with this pack. So now we have a mostly complete kitchen, and we're working on the living room, which has the speaker from that pack, and I am using this, I don't really know what to call it, it's kind of a shelving unit for plants, and it has a TV on top of it at the moment, but I do move that over to a different piece of furniture also from this pack. And then I pick a rug for this area, which is one of the nicer items I think in this pack. There's many different patterns, and I do feel that it's very versatile. Most of it is very bright, but there's also some neutral swatches, so that's why I kept a lot of my swatch picking process in this build, which is something that I don't normally do, but I did want to show off how this pack can be used, and I was just excited to try it out as much as I could. And since I was only going to have like one exterior of a home in this build, I really wanted to be able to feature most of this pack. So I am using this debug, I don't really know what to call it, but the base of the trailer is from debug, and you can size it down and it makes it so that it is still a very decent size for a trailer home. But I didn't do that, so I feel that this trailer home is huge. So I felt that I had a lot of free space in the middle of the room, and I tried to add a desk, but it felt very strange because of where the door is. And so what I did was that I went for this side table, and I decided to have the TV under instead. So I just put some books on top of that shelving unit, and I finished off the entryway just adding some more stuff to it. I also have some aprons, and I have those paintings from this stuff pack, as well as some more wall decorations from the base game. Those paintings are, I would say, a pretty nice item. There's 3 different designs and they have different swatches. So there's these birds and there's also some flowers, as well as these 3 designs. So I really liked how that's an item that is very usable in different spaces. And I also really like these fairy lights, or these flower string lights, which also have several swatches, but I am using one of the more neutral ones. So after I had decided that this was going to be the look for this living room, just lots of plants and leaves and this color scheme, I decided that I wanted to have a desk inside this space, and I did playtest this, so this desk is fully functional, as well as everything I believe in this house. I also wanted to have one of the bigger wardrobes because I know that many people just add a dresser in their rooms and that's it. But I think that that isn't enough storage, so I prefer to add the larger wardrobes, and that just makes me feel like my Sims have everything they would need. And again, this is a trailer home and it is pretty cheap, I would say. It's not a starter home, but it's about 27,000 simoleons. I did eventually move it to a 15 by 15 lot, so that made it a bit less expensive as well, because I was feeling that this lot was huge for this house and there wasn't enough stuff in the stuff pack for it to look full. And I really wanted to do that, so I did eventually move it. But I tried to use the side table or the end table that comes with this stuff pack, but it has a glass top and no storage, so I didn't like that. But I did use the frog and flower decals, and I don't think that I'm going to be using those very often, because they're like very specific. But in here I was really going for that nature theme, so I was thinking that this theme was active and loved the outdoors, and they're also a collector. So I did want to have that be noticeable. So I added a frog on this desk, as well as some postcards, because maybe they have moved their home around, so they might have lived in a few different worlds. But yeah, I think that now I just make sure that this bedroom looks full. And so I have some decorations on this bay window. I also added some books because I, again, wanted it to look like it was very functional. Every space was either used for storage or some functional item. And since we only had the base game, there weren't many items that I felt would be possible to have in here. So I did have things like a guitar, and I thought about adding an easel, but I don't know why that didn't feel right. You can still add an easel outside anyways, so you can have an artist if you wanted, but I was thinking that this sim is mostly just into exploring and collecting things like crystals or frogs or fossils, and I actually don't have many places to display those, but there's some open slots still on that bookcase in the living room or the side table that I have in there, so there's probably many spaces where you could have just some shelves or any surface that would make it so that you could have some more collectibles displayed around the house. Or maybe you could just sell them. That's also a very good way for your Sims to earn money if you don't want them to have a job. And maybe this Sim just likes that about living on a trailer home, that they don't have to have a job anywhere in particular and they can just maybe work from home or they can just live off the land, because I did add some planters. And I was also thinking that this house being so large or having so many like open spaces on the inside would make it so that it would be relatively simple for the Sim to pack up everything that they have in their yard and just move the house to a different lot or even a different world. But now we're just finishing this bathroom, which is pretty small but it does function, and I decided to go with this sink because it looked like it had some storage as well as that mirror. And now we're going to be working outside, which doesn't have that much stuff, and I actually regret that I didn't add a grill to it, but that's an easy thing to add. But I think that there's many activities in here. For example, I have that tray of lemonade, so that's another really nice item that this stuff pack has, because your Sims can just make lemonade just by clicking on it, and you will have, I think, maybe 6 glasses of lemonade, and there's 3 different options for drinks. So I thought that was very cute and it made it very summery as well. I also decided to have a pickup truck so that it looked like this Sim actually had a vehicle that they could use to move their house. And I also added those flower pots, which I think are very bright and happy, the birdhouse, and I also wanted to have these garden decorations that are a butterfly and a flower, and the flower is actually a lamp, so you will have some lighting at night from that item. And now I have moved this house to a different lot, which is smaller and it's right across Janice's trailer home, so I thought that was kind of cute to have them nearby so that it looked like this area was probably populated by trailer homes. And I did add that water slide that comes with this pack and the bird feeder, so that there is some more activities in here. And I really like that there's different items in this pack. So there's the bird feeder, 2 different water slides, and that tray of lemonade, which are little gameplay items which you might not use too often. I don't really see myself using the water slide that much, and definitely not in apartments. But the bird feeder could be used on a balcony, and that tray is also something that seems like not a totally unrealistic thing to have. I also really like things like the candle that comes with this pack. Actually, that was one of the items that made me a bit sad that I didn't have it, but this pack wasn't a priority for me anyway. But there's a few different options anyway, but I really like having it. And there's some really fun items in here, such as the wind chimes and that frog fountain that I decided to have next to the water slide, so that it looks like there's water coming from that too. And this picket fence is super nice as well. I feel like it's going to be one that I might use a lot in houses. And here I didn't completely enclose the house in this fence because that felt weird for me, because it was a trailer home, so I don't think you would move with the picket fence. But I felt that it was good to sort of mark off where the lot ended, because on the other side we still have some rocks and stuff, but I feel that it made it so that people wouldn't be like walking through the yard. So that made sense to me, and I do not have the gate, but I felt that it's fine, and I did use most of these items. Of course, I didn't use all 6 of the wind chimes that come in here, or all 3 tables, but now I'm just going to be adding some free landscaping and adding some lounge chairs. And that's going to be it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you would like to download this build, it is going to be on the gallery under my ID, which is Veranio. And it's a limited pack build, so if you claim this now, it's going to be super easy for you to download it. And if you're interested in watching more of these builds, I do post twice a week. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time.